Okay, welcome everyone to this month's Microsoft 365 Modern Management Meetup. So we're already at August. We've got a couple of things that we need to talk about that are happening next month. But just quick introductions before I basically I'll be handing over to Steve for most of tonight. My name's Mark O'Shea and I'll give a wave, sitting up the back, hiding away. Has Jerome
has not joined. He's having some laptop issues.
Okay, he's in. I thought maybe he was in traffic.
No laptop. Send us a message.
Okay. And Steve?
On X, he sent us a message on X.
Oh.
Steve, hi, that's me. I do tech stuff. You can find me Adam from Cloud Guy.
Oh yeah, we can't say you can find me on Twitter. It's like you can find me on x.com.
Yeah, it's all about X.
Anytime people criticize Microsoft for bad marketing decisions, you can point at x.com and say, beat that.
That was good.
Okay, so welcome everyone. So just a few quick things before I do hand over to Steve is just for introductions. I can see we've got a few people. Just if there's anyone new or anyone who hasn't made an appearance for a while and maybe you think we may have forgotten about you, just drop a note into chat or feel free to unmute and just do a quick intro. So it looks like we've got a decent number of people tonight, so that's good.
And obviously those in the room, feel free to introduce yourselves again if you'd like.
I'll call out Aresh because I can see Aresh is sitting there tonight. So I think we'll have some stuff for you to talk about again soon.
Absolutely. I wasn't aware that this is an in-house meeting because on the meetup it said online.
But if you read the text, it should say in person or online.
Yeah.
Meetup is so advanced, you can't mark it as a hybrid event.
Right.
As soon as you say online, it removes any option for you to put an address in.
The usual read the TNCs and the stars.
Yeah.
Oh, the usual thing.
It's like, am I wrong to think that would be something really easy for them to fix?
Yes, but that would mean that they could actually invest any money. You got to remember who actually owns Meetup. WeWork.
Oh,
really?
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Well, on the other hand, then can we sort of push LinkedIn to turn their events thing into a proper event service like Meetup?
Feel free to provide that guidance via the MVP channel when you go in and increase your years of service.
Yeah. Basically, it didn't turn into what I was hoping it would be. It's like, oh, you're holding an event. Tell your people to communicate about it here. No registration options, anything like that. That's like, okay. I guess you get what you pay for.
Exactly. You're paying for premium, aren't you?
I get that for free.
True.
So someone's paying for it.
Yeah.
Okay. Now the big, probably some things that we really do want to start pushing you towards is next month. We've got Experts Live. So what's that? 4 or 5 weeks away.
40 days.
Now, not that Steve's counting how long he's got until he gets his sessions working. So that's Tuesday the 19th and Wednesday the 20th of September. If you've ever been to the Microsoft building in North Sydney, it will be held in one of the floors there, maybe multiple floors, who knows?
Yes, multiple floors. And because Mark's awesome, he didn't include the link on the actual slide of where to go.
But you're dropping that into chat.
I did drop it into chat. So
I thought you might have that handy. Okay, so with the timing of that, and because we'll have Jerome who hasn't turned up yet, but Jerome will be in Australia those couple of days as well. So what we'll do next month is we'll move the September meetup from Wednesday the 13th, I think it was supposed to be. We'll move that to Tuesday the 19th.
Yep.
So that way, if any of you are going to be or planning on heading along to Experts Live, it means that just hang around, grab if there's like alcohol and party pies and sausage rolls, and pizza, grab a bunch of that. And
Because we definitely put it on for you. It's not the conference.
Yeah, so that way we might, so there may be some additional people who come from that into this, but it kind of makes sense for us to hold this in person, seeing that there are actually going to be people around. I think, I know, is Ben going to be here?
Yes.
Okay, so it'll be our first all hands on deck.
Yeah.
In a very, very long time.
It'll be the full complement.
Yeah. Actually, the only time we'll ever have done it with all of the organisers together at the same time.
We got a hands up from Marish here.
Yeah. So I just wanted to give that.
Hang on. It's a hand up.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Just thanks for the link, Steve.
Not a problem.
Any special offer for the people on the call today? It looks like it's a paid event.
It is a paid event. We don't have anything right now, but we'll see what we can organise.
Thank you very much, sir.
But it's not an expensive paid event, and remember, you can write it off on tax.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's $100. So
Yes.
basically a bag of shopping.
Yeah. Okay. So before I updated Meetup with those details, I just thought I'd mention it here so that when Steve's going through his session, I'll probably get it updated at some point while we're meeting tonight, just so that it's there. And I don't think we'll commit to any particular topic next month, seeing that we're probably going to have more than enough people around that we can just sort of see what's being discussed earlier that day or whatever and bring that up. So we'll keep that one fairly unstructured. But if there are particular things that you want covered, any burning issues, etc., just drop any of us a note and we'll make sure to try to get something sorted out for you. Now with that, that's pretty much all we really sort of had as the preamble for today.
You missed the announcements of products changes, like of new products and dying products.
I deliberately left the RIP one out of courtesy. I didn't want to see you get sad again. Steve was tearing up earlier when he was talking about his beloved child.
Yes.
Being diagnosed with terminal end of lifeness.
Yes. So everybody will have seen MMD is now end of life.
Just 5 seconds of silence.
Yes. And now we have Jerome has joined us.
4 out of 40.
Yeah, 4 out of 40.
Good morning.
How you going, buddy?
I'm fine.
Laptop working now?
Back from holiday after 2 weeks in Spain, so.
Oh, so you hadn't used your computer in 2 weeks?
Yeah.
To get everything set up again.
You're trying to figure out your passwordless sign-in, weren't you?
Yeah, still working.
That's good. All right.
Windows hello. Yep.
Okay, so over to you, Steve.
It's me. Okay. So we're going to jump around a little bit here. I'm going to start off on my, if I can find the right VM. I'm going to start off at a really simple place over here. I'm not doing any slides today because I don't like slides. I'm allergic to them. What we're going to talk about today is global secure access. So does everybody know what this new Entra Global Secure Access preview feature is? I'm going to take that as no.
No.
So how many people here deploy Zscaler in their environment today? Show of hands.
Netscope.
Netscope. Same thing.
About Netscope.
Yeah. Yep. Netscope, a SASE agent of any sort, Versa, all of those great products, right? This is Microsoft's offering of that. So this is where Microsoft's now bringing out a solution as part of the Entra umbrella to basically called Microsoft Global Access Secure, Global Secure Access, that's it. Got to get the terminology right, don't get in trouble. And part of this is going to be about how we control access to corporate data, as well as expanding what you can do with app proxies. So all of that really cool stuff. So this is still in preview. Got to call that out. Still very much in preview. So there's some rough edges on there. But what this gives you is the visibility of where your staff are going. When you're looking at the Microsoft endpoints today, it will get expanded beyond that. And you can see all of the addresses you're going to here. For this to be deployed out, you need to go and have an agent installed. Yeah. You have to download a client, and today it only supports hybrid joined or AAD joined devices. Windows 10, Windows 11. Make that a little bit bigger because I'm really bad and don't like small font. Right now, though, you'll see that it is only for Windows, but there is plans for Android, iOS, and Mac OS. So you'll be able to have your whole estate covered by this, other than Linux. But most organizations have a very limited Linux environment. So what this gives us is that secure control of your environment. So let's quickly go and have a look at what that looks like, and then we'll come back to the settings and configuration. So I'm just going to change the VM that I'm sharing out. What I want to call out initially is what it is, how it works. And did I grab the right VM? I think I did. It's black and perfect. So what I have here is my simple VM. If I go down the bottom here, I have an agent. That will eventually disappear, but we have an agent right now. And we've deployed that out. Simple Intune deployment. We just go and run setup.exe/quiet, and it goes and installs it. It sets it all up. We can see all of the information about it, and we can go in and see how this all works eventually. So you'll see here's our diagnostics associated with it. What we've created from a channels point of view is we've set up private and M365. So private is where you're getting access to endpoints in your corporate environment, and M365 is the M365 services. They're the only two that have been lit up today. So this is still very limited in what it can do, but it's something to be aware of when you're doing your planning and strategizing. We have 3 services running where we can get our policies, yay, we get access to management, but the most important one is tunneling. We also have the ability to get our host names, whatever, flows, doesn't really matter. And we see that we've got everything working correctly and we have green everywhere. If we go here, I'm going to show you a very, very simple demo. I love this demo. I showed Mark this before and he went, oh, wow, that's interesting. So if we go,
that's when I cried. It was so beautiful.
So if we go to portal.office.com, super simple, right? We have this. This is my load up. This is my used house salesman tenant. So if I go up here, we can see that this tenant is used house salesman. Happy days. If I go to right click, go to run CMD. Let me make this a little bit bigger if I can. Who am I /UPN, just to show that I'm signed in with that same account, right? No smoke, no mirrors. What we're then going to look at here is we're going to go and say, let's have a look at in private session. If I go to portal.office.com, zoom that in a little bit, and you'll see that it attempted to sign in, but it couldn't. We're now going to use my other tenant. You may have seen this one floating around. And we're going to quickly sign into that account. What you're going to see is it's actually being blocked, but it's not being blocked by my Intune training tenant. This is being blocked by my used house salesman tenant. Pretty cool, right? I can sit there and restrict access to my corporate data on my corporate device. So from a control point of view, if you go into any regulated environment, if you go into most organizations, their biggest concern is you're going to go sign into another organization's OneDrive and download or do whatever you need to do, right? Because the policy applies to OneDrive or SharePoint or whatever. This is how you can actually put controls on other people's tenants. So I love that function. I think it's fantastic. What we're going to then go and look at is on the other side. I'm going to jump back and change VMs again. Just bear with me. Share. So how hard do you reckon that was to set up to actually block tenants?
Is it whitelisted by a tenant ID?
It's actually simpler than that.
Is that before or after following the Docker? Because the Docker is a little bit confusing. I'm being in preview at the moment.
It's Docker.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
So literally all you need to do is under session management, toggle that. And you're sitting there and saying, only my tenant can access it with that agent installed. So long as, let's be clear here, you have to have deployed the policy profile. A policy profile, bear with me, I've got to remember where everything's at because we traffic forwarder. Is it? Yes. So this traffic forwarding, right now, it is designed to go to all users, all devices that have the client installed. So this is where it's still being defined. It's still preview, understand that. What you'll eventually see once this goes into production is there will be an additional tab here that will give you more flexibility.
So is this an evolution of the older approach they were using where you actually had to configure your proxies and things to prevent people from getting access to other tenants?
Yes. Yes, 100%. And more efficient and quicker.
Yeah.
So
not routing everyone back on-prem to inspect and determine. Yeah.
So what you'll note here is right now it's only 3 Microsoft endpoints, being Microsoft 365 Common, SharePoint, and Exchange Online. We say up here that it's going to add more. Apparently it takes a bit of time to add in all of the endpoints because I don't know if you've ever looked at the list. It's a little long. And you then have the ability for each of these to say whether I'm going to forward that to my filtering or I'm going to bypass it. Simple, easy stuff, right? But this is where it's starting out that conversation and starting out that journey of zero trust built into Entra so you can go straight through. So a couple of the other functionalities that you'll hear from other vendors, other scenarios, is the ability to have an endpoint in your environment where you can route all the traffic through. That's going to eventually land here. This is where you can go in there and put in a customer premises equipment and connect straight in and do some routing. What that looks like, I don't know yet because it's not public yet, but you can see here that that's where they're aiming. Once you have that functionality, when you go to your connectors, your traffic forwarding, you can then assign that policy to that endpoint. So that's what this app assignment is. Because right now you click on it and it goes, hey, you can't do anything. I don't have a profile. Not been on branch. Like, cool, why is it up there? Anyway, so there's still some rough edges there, but it comes down to that conversation of, hey, have a look and see what it's all about because this is going to make your life heaps easier. We do have the ability with the connectors here as well. And this is where that's going to use the same connector as the AAD app proxy. These connectors are for when you're looking at that private network. So that private access profile, that's where you have the connector, it then can route in to get access in and gives you a whole lot more flexibility, but also gives you the ability to monitor what's actually going on. And that's where you start looking into the really interesting information because this one here has data in it. Nope. Some of them do, some of them don't. So you can see all of the endpoints that I've gone to and why and everything associated on that. You can see that it was my admin account, but if you go in here, we can go and filter on user is as a principle. What we'll be able to see is where that device has been going and everything associated with that. And you'll see the actions where it's going to an endpoint that has controls over the top of it and or etc. So you can see here all of that information. So I've brushed through this really quickly. I realise that now. Is there any questions around this sort of stuff? Is this interesting for anybody on the call of how that works? Don't everybody talk at once.
I'm still thinking about the whole process to set up.
You just send a client out, turn it all on, done. Takes about 10 minutes.
Okay.
And as simplistic as I'm being and flippant as I'm being, it is that simple. Like we can go here and I'll show you in another tenant. So if we go to in private, I go.
But if you send out that client, then you can configure it so that the client can only access your corporate tenant, for example.
No, but once you send out that client, correct. And that auto signs in with the signed in account. That's why there is a requirement for it to be Azure AD joined or hybrid AD joined.
Is there a long-term plan to have this replace Defender web content filtering? And also, do you know if there's any plan to integrate this into Defender for Cloud Apps?
For the first one, gotta hope so. And for the second one,
Because it seems a lot of doubling up going on here with some of these features.
Yeah, I believe that it's going to link in. Sorry. I shouldn't giggle, but I'm trying to go to my other tenant to do a demo, but I can't because I've got tenant restrictions even. Let me turn that off. So.
Get down the client.
Yeah. Let me turn that off. Save. Now I'm curious to see how quickly it will actually apply the policy. I think if we go here, oh, and you can, while it's in testing, you can go to pause, and I'll just pause the configuration. So, intra.microsoft. And you'll see that it's now paused. So now I should be able to go sign into my other tenant. One of my other tenants. So I agree, Dean, and from a consolidation point of view, I believe this is part of the consolidation plan, is this will drive it down and make it that simpler. So here, if we go to getting started, to onboard, all you need to do is activate the tenant. Once you've activated, you can then go getting started. That's the first step, and then the second step is deploying the client out. So if I go back over to the other tenant and I go ak.ms/in. So how many people knew you could get to the Intune portal by doing aka.ms/in? I think I've told everybody I'm very excited about the fact. I love my AKA links. So if we go here to applications, and we go to Windows, in here you'll see my ZTNA agent because I like using acronyms. From a properties point of view, it's an executable. It then gets deployed out using /choir. That's it. My understanding is that this will eventually not require a client to be installed. It will just be available in the OS. Timeline, I don't know. But that's what I've been led to believe. So how easy is that for a demo?
This is
easy enough.
This is good from an outbound flow perspective.
Yep.
As I say, that's mostly covered currently by things like content filtering, and I know that people have already got various proxy things in place, and some of those good things like tenant filtering is good. I looked with interest at the inbound flows, and I couldn't get that bit to work.
I think that's still in
It's probably just a preview thing.
Yeah.
But I'm curious to know how that whole app proxy for custom ports and services is going to look and work, stuff like that.
Yeah, I've been trying to get that one working as well for the private network. You mean, Dean? So
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
I've had a little bit of a play with it, but I haven't had enough time to get it up and fully test
myself.
it.
It's interesting.
Yeah, it's really interesting. To me, I see this is going to be one of those things where it's going to be a little bit like AAD app proxy, where it will become just the default because it's just 4 clicks. Trigger anybody. Oh, hang on. I think I may have Jerome's hunting for something. He's looking at.
He's wondering why we're staring at him.
I'm going to check it right now.
Okay. So you're going to go turn this on right now, are you, Jerome?
First, I have to look, then I'll turn it on.
Oh, it's easy. You just go in to enter a portal under Global Secure Access Preview, and then you just hit activate.
Entra. I never used it before.
I think if you do aad.portal.azure.com now, aad.portal.azure.com, it goes to entra.microsoft.com now too. So Entra obviously is the new branding and landing page for all of your identity requirements, because you've got all of the additional components over here.
Get started.
But for me, I'm very excited by this because I have government agencies where they're like, we can't have other tenants being able to sign in. And this just fixes it straight away.
What is the minimum license that you need to have?
P5? I don't know. I would assume it's P1.
Yeah.
Let's have a look. Hey, look, I got it right.
Yeah. Woohoo.
So the preview requires Microsoft Entra ID Premium P1 license. I love that it's Premium P1.
Pulls off the tongue.
Oh, it means it's Premium.
Oh
one.
yeah, to use the traffic forwarding profile, you need to have an A3 license.
Yep.
It's what
And that makes sense, right? So to do the traffic forwarding, you need to have Office. Sorry, it's actually not required, it's recommended because you can't manage traffic for sites, especially when you're doing the testing on the 3 sites right now that are only going to be today. If we go traffic forwarding and we go here to our M365 traffic profiles, and we can see that it is Exchange Online, SharePoint Online, and Microsoft 365 Common and Office Online. So if it's only those 3, then you definitely need to have your E3 license for Office to be able to see any actual reality. That's why it's recommended.
Yeah, but is it also possible is it that's how they say in the near future that the forwarding list will be going populated more and more and more, I think, more portals.
Yes. So what you'll see during the preview is you'll see more information appear in there and more links and routes.
Yeah.
My understanding.
But is it also, for example, a use case for only admins that they can access the Entra portals and the Intune portals only via this client?
Well, that's actually a really cool use case. This is where you're saying for your core devices, or your secure access workstation devices, you limit access to everything else except for the Microsoft stack.
Yeah.
So today you can't do that, but my understanding is in the future you will be able to.
Okay.
Because that's where you'll have the ability to create your own profile here. And you'll be able to define what policies included in that and put some rules around that.
Yeah.
So right now, if you go here, you can only forward and bypass. So it's just that preview functionality. But given the controls that you have around tenant restrictions, it's something that I think there's a lot of customers that are going to be very interested in that.
Can whitelist other tenants?
I don't know. Let's have a look.
So like if you've got a B2B collaboration set up.
Yes, yes, you can. I think. Well, maybe not. Let's have a look. I'm pretty sure I did read somewhere you can.
But it would seem weird if they didn't have that option.
Yeah, because cross organizational is becoming a big thing. Apparently. So I've been told.
3 separate tenancies I've got to manage to connect.
Yeah. So if we go edit in defaults. So if we go here. I might just say sell. There's the ability to sell. This is not my strong suit, I will be completely honest. Cool. So then we can go here. And we're going to custom, we're going to yep. Yes. No, don't do that. Save, because you've got to save each tab. Cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Apparently I can't do it. Can't do that. Okay. Whatever. And that's cool. Okay, it doesn't like me. But then what you should be able to use. That one there, I believe is going to. Yes.
That'll.
So now if we go down here and we re-enable this, we hit resume. We're going to close out this portal. And we're going to go in private. And see how quickly it actually reflects it.
You have to turn it off.
Okay. That'll just allow.
I think we just lost the room. Oh, hang on. Because I have.
Yeah.
Here it goes.
Camera. So the reason why it was allowed is because we'd already turned that off. So we'll try that demo again. What we're going to do here, we're going to do here. Restart it. Because the restart will force it to download the latest version. Cool. So now we're going to go across to in private. That still hasn't gone through.
Oh. That Microsoft Entra Internet Access protocol policy or whatever. Is that a kind of replacement of the Office Express route
Which one? Sorry.
from the Office Express Express route? You have the Express route for Azure, and if you have a very large organization with, I don't know, 500k users, then you can opt in for a dedicated Express route for your Office stuff.
Yeah. So Office private pairing. Yeah.
Yeah. Is that the Entra Internet Access? Is that similar to this? That's what I see in the pictures.
In my screen or in your screen?
Now in my I pressing getting started. Can I share my screen? Yeah, I think so.
Oh, this one here, the Entra
Yeah.
Internet.
Yeah.
So that's, if we click
If you
through
press
that,
get started, yeah.
that's literally doing the traffic forwarding.
Yeah.
So that's not doing the express route. That's sitting there. When it says it's doing traffic forwarding, it's forwarding your traffic into the global secure access cloud.
So it'd still be going over public internet if
Correct.
that's how you're
Yeah.
connecting to the endpoints.
Yep. It's not what you think it is, unfortunately.
No.
Teaching training should have the ability to do pretty much everything. Labs. Yep. Wow. That may fix it. All right.
You need to restart.
Okay.
Should you?
So it does support B2B logins, but only on devices that are joined to that tenant.
Okay. That logically doesn't make sense to me, but sure. Because I can't join a computer to multiple tenants.
No, so you need to, use your B2B login to log into a device that's only joined to the tenant that you're accessing. Yeah.
Okay. So what I'm trying to do will never work. I doubt it will, but it's always
So for
interesting.
your Intune training account to log into to the house salesman IT, you need to be logging into, you need to log into the VM. It's joined to your salesman IT as your B2B account. As your Intune training account.
So what you're saying here is I need to just do switch user because I want to do switch user because it's just easy.
Is it connected to this?
I've never tried actually to do this, but it is quite interesting.
Yeah. Access Contorso is global secure access using a Contorso device. Bob can use either Bob Fabricon or Bob Contorso. However, Bob can't use Fabricon device that is a joined Fabricon tenant to access Contorso's global secure access.
Looks like it's signing me in. How's that for a novelty? How many people are dealing with multiple tenants? I don't like me. I assume you are.
Well, not B2B, but dev, test, and prod.
But in that scenario, you wouldn't be able to manage your dev and test on your own computer.
Yeah, so that'd be pretty awful.
It'd be awesome.
Yeah.
It's not awful, it's secure.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Because it also means, let's be indelicate here, but it also means that the risk of making production changes, thinking that you're in development, is nil.
Yeah.
Which I think is fantastic. Yay, somebody else is already on board. I've joined.
Sorry.
I just saw that your chat.
Yeah.
that you've onboarded.
Yeah.
And you've already set it all up, and then all of a sudden we're going to lose you because you're using a different tenant.
We will see. No, it's already.
So is there any other
onboarding.
question? So I don't think we're going to get the B2B stuff working, which is we'd like to. And that's probably just because Eschew, my tenant, isn't set up for that. Well, other than me sitting here and trying to go into this constantly, is there any other questions, or did we want to start opening it up to a broader topic? Store.
So I'd make the suggestion, something we haven't done for a while that I think we've done a couple of sessions on it, almost like an annual event, is I guess just like zooming out a bit to just the zero trust conversation in general, taking a look at what's changed in conditional access.
You want me to zoom out, right?
No, not that way. Everyone's a comedian. But most importantly, if you laugh at yourself, that means it wins.
Exactly. I'm comfortable with that.
Yeah, just going through and seeing what's changed, anything new that's kind of ties into this, especially on the device side in Entra ID's conditional access. Do you like the way I snuck that in?
Yeah, just slipped in there. So obviously we can go in here. As you can see, don't do what Stephen does, have all of your conditional access policies turned off. I was doing testing and it was causing me problems.
No MFA, no conditional access. Woohoo.
Yay, test environments.
So you've got the same level of security as most real estate agents that you're emulating. Yes.
Correct.
Yes. Okay.
Correct. I think actually one of the cool features that now exists in conditional access is how many people have seen this little drop down for the target resources where you can select what this policy applies to. It's now a drop down. Because previously it was all just client apps, right? Yeah. But I can now select this and go, hey, global secure access. Oh, magic.
I wish that I set you up for that. I wish I could claim that, but no, I didn't know that was there.
So this is where you can go and put controls on there to say, well, for that Microsoft traffic, you have to have an MFA device or you have to have a client device. And then we're going to do all, and we're going to select hybrid as well, because that's definitely going to work. But yeah, so you can go in and say, all right, well, I have to have a compliant device because it's reporting only, it's going to exclude or whatever, I don't care. Just proceed.
Gotta make a name.
Policy name can be empty.
I always skip that step.
I can't remember the name of the secure access. Yes. Create. Yeah. Perfect. That actually wasn't what I was going to show, but I thought it was cool anyway. The other one that we've got in here is when we go targeting resources, we have the ability to do user actions and register or join devices. So I can now change the policy from I must have MFA at the device level in AAD to now when certain users register or join a device, they have to do an MFA. Then I can go down here and I can go, yeah, cool. And I can be very prescriptive in my level of MFA. So this is where I can go, I want my phishing resistant MFA, and that's the only way you're going to be able to join a device to my tenant. And guess what? I need to put a name on there.
And while Steve's doing that, just if you want to drop a comment into chat, how many of you are supplying things like your FIDO2 keys, etc., to at least some users or at least for some accounts?
Yeah, we're in the middle of it.
For sure. For your admin accounts or all users?
Admin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think we started with AAD admins. Now we're going Intune admins and basically all tier 0.
Yep. Yeah. Cool. How many other people are using FIDO keys for their admin accounts and admin profiles?
Me.
I am. I bought my own.
So guys.
This is like an old one that's not even USB-C, but it is NFC. So.
Yeah.
On my Intune training keyring. So I have one for work, one for play. But one of the things you can call out here as well. So we went and looked at the authentication strengths in conditional access, and we then have the ability to create our own controls because we can go, all right, well, phishing resistant, it is FIDO2 key, hello for business, or certificate-based authentication. So for a device being registered, I can't do hello for business and I can't do certificate-based authentication, right? So let's just go and create a new one. We're going to call this secure device join, and we're going to explicitly say it has to be a FIDO2 key, and you can even go down to the type of key. That's pretty cool. We're going to then go here and go, well, is there anything else we're going to accept? We go, all right, well, you know what? I'm going to also accept my phone signing because
Temporary access pass.
no,
Temporary access pass.
Yeah, it's a great access.
No, don't use temporary access pass for device registration. Don't trigger me.
SMS.
Don't trigger me.
I think SMS must stand for something very, very different over in the Netherlands.
Yeah.
Federated single factor. I don't even know what that is. But this is where we can sit there and go, we're only going to accept two ways. You're going to have a FIDO key. You have to have, or you're going to have Microsoft Authenticator. But let's make it even more real world. If we're going to go and build our secure workstation, so this is going to be our SOAR device, you have to have a FIDO2 key. That is the only way you can actually register. No. There's some really interesting error messages on the screen. You, the administrator, are not enabled for this authentication method on this tenant. And don't lock yourself out by turning this on.
Yeah, I wonder what prompted them to put in less than subtle wording.
So yeah, don't lock yourself out. It's awesome. I love that. But you can still create it anyway. And the thing is that's actually not necessarily a bad thing, because you may have only created that for a single user, or a single user might have that. As an example for this is, I might go, the only factor of authentication I'm going to allow my break glass account is a FIDO2 key. And then I go and apply that everywhere for my secure controls. So then I'm saying my break glass account has to have a FIDO key, and it is the only account in my whole tenant that has a FIDO key. But you should have a FIDO key for all of your GA accounts. Please do that. It's important. I think that's actually a really cool one, because now what we can do is we can go back to policies. And bear in mind, this is report only. I'm not actually enabling this. Don't enable a new tenant unless you've tested it, validated, and got the exclusions for your account while you're doing testing. Disclaimers, yay. But now I can go here, and what should appear is I should have the ability to select that one, but I can't. Why can I not? Yeah. Let's do a 50 refresh, because we probably don't reload it in between. And go back to our policy, secure device join. And we can go control. And now you have secure join. So I can select that and I can go, cool. So any device that I join, even though I'm not targeting any users, so you should actually target somebody, but you can go sit there and say, yep, this is going to apply when you join the device to the domain, to the tenant, you have to have a FIDO2 key. And then you target your SOAR accounts as an example. How cool is that functionality?
Just a quick question, not related to this. Someone that I know is asking why he can't change the servicing channel in Intune anymore for the Windows Update for Business. And if you create a new policy, a new Windows Update policy, then you even can't choose a servicing channel. So only the retail channel exists. Is that something new, or?
As in here, let me just load this up, tenant, And we go to update ring,
Yeah.
create, put in the
Blah, blah,
magic
blah.
4 characters.
Yeah.
Very descriptive. And what you're asked is this one here.
No. That's the beta and the dev channel. But
Right.
before you had the semi-annual channel and the
Yeah.
Monty channel or whatever it's called. I don't know. But you only have a retail channel. Just your normal Windows update for business ring.
Correct. Because
Since when has they changed that?
so this the servicing channel.
Yeah. Ta-da.
So you can still choose the insider beta channel,
Yeah.
web chat. But apart from general channel, what other channel is there?
That's
Yeah.
the point that I was going to get at.
Because semi-annual's gone.
Yeah.
And the other one is not going to be acknowledged or named.
The other one.
The other one.
The other branch.
Yes.
The
branch that's really forked up.
yes. The branch that everybody forgot. So what that comes down to, Jerome, is that functionality doesn't exist in updates because it's now controlled by feature update policy. Because realistically, that was sitting there and just saying, we're going to control when you're going to get your next feature update. Whereas what you do now is you sit there and say, I'm going to install feature update 22 page 2 on Y date. And this is where you can actually go in here. I think make this. So you can do gradual rollout.
Mhm.
And you can say, all right, I want 3 days between each group. Okay, fun. I like that.
Oh, it's because of your.
Got one day, like
Ah.
1 day between first and final.
That would be it. Let me fix that. So does anybody know what this gradual thing does for updates, for feature updates?
Randomly grabs some that are online.
Yeah.
Basically, yes. But what it does is it basically will do the hockey stick. So it starts off with 1 or 2, 10%, 20%, and then it ramps up. So long as it's successful and there's no problems identified in your environment. So this is using the same intelligence that you have for updates that Microsoft runs for your whole retail environment, like your consumer environments. But this is where you've got that control now for commercial devices. So you can sit there and just control how that goes out without having to create groups for each of those. Pretty cool, right?
Yeah.
And then if you want to even go more uber crazy with it, you can go into auto patch because you should definitely be using auto patch. And you can go and set that feature updates through there now. You can assign that to your ring or your auto patch groups because everybody's using auto patch groups. And then you have the ability to pause it. But you can also, should be able to go here and edit. So you can't edit the default, but you can create your own and deploy the groups out that way. From there, we can step through, see which groups are attached, which are my workstation. And then we have a deployment plan on the next one. And you can see that's broken out. And I'll say I'm going to gradual rollout. Cool, right?
Yeah.
Does that answer your question, Jerome? Other than the fact that we've moved the word cheese and changed
No,
our
we are a little bit surprised that it can't that you can edit anymore.
I think we announced that, I want to say 3 years ago, at least.
Yeah, like I don't remember the targeting being in there before.
I do remember when it first came out,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, but for a couple of months ago, you still had to choose which servicing channel.
yeah, but it didn't do anything.
Ah,
There's a
Okay.
difference between it being there and actually doing something.
okay. I need some coffee. Oh my God.
Yeah, I think
but
that was like
We
2019.
are still we are now talking about Windows Update rings, and Anthony have something about Office apps channels. Office Update, I think.
Can you manually pin devices to? In what sense are you looking to pin the devices, Anthony? Is that like you've got a application that needs to be set to a point and not moved?
No, in that section you were showing before with the first group and final group, can you pin PCs? I think it might be an auto patch thing I'm thinking of.
Yep. So for the Office stuff, not yet.
Okay.
Is the answer I'm going to give you because that's the answer we publicly talk about.
Cool. The not yet tells me what I need to know, I think.
Yep.
Thank you.
What you can do if you're wanting to go down that route is if you go to config.office.com, you can do a whole heap of stuff over here around Office, and it's not tied to the device that you're targeting, it's tied to the user that you're targeting.
Okay.
So this is where when you start looking at servicing, you can go in here and play around with MEC, so monthly enterprise channel, and you can go and get started, because I haven't set it up in this environment. You can go and put your criteria or groups. You can link it to the AAD group, happy days, cool, workstations, because I've got a very simple add to list. You can also put criterias in there. You can say what channel you want to go to, and you can build that out. So you can exclude devices, of course, yay, because everybody wants to include everything and exclude. You can exclude devices with macro usage. You can exclude devices that have add-ins. Great. But what we're saying here is we're going to move all devices to monthly enterprise channel. You can go and then select each of these and go, if they're on any of these, they're going to be moved to monthly enterprise. Right now, it's just monthly enterprise. Otherwise, if they're already on these other ones, we're not going to change it because you've put it there manually. And then you can go push through that, how many days until it's enforced, and then you can drive that conversation from there. Simple. There are other controls, obviously, but that one there's the straight up one, right? You'll see that was, you can target it to devices, does the full control and all of that. But if we go to customization, this is where it gets really funky and really cool. So we're going to create one. We're going to call this demo.
And can I just quickly pass?
And then we can sit here and we can go and specify this is going to apply to users. And note that these are all applied to user. There's no device targeting here. If we then go next and we go to policies, eventually I'll get there, we can see that there's 2,212 policies here. And I can sit there and go, I want to do my updates. And I can go in and put some controls around asking if I want to automatically update links. So where is it? what I'm getting at is you can go in here and do a whole heap of configuration that you want. I only want this working. So like I can go and set Windows bar update configuration. I can enable that and it's going to update every 120 minutes as an example. But that doesn't go to just the devices that you manage. That goes to any device the user is signed into in Outlook. So if they've gone and added it. So another example that I've seen is if we go to, where's this? Oh, I've got to bring one now. The filter. I don't know what's going on here, why it's only showing my 21. Let's go back and see if it's that. Next. The other thing you can see here is baseline. And you can see that baseline and you can go, all right, it's not configured. Well, now I want to go and set this to Microsoft recommended baseline. And you can then go and deploy that out to all of your tenants. So you can set your Office security baseline based on a baseline that you're wanting, which is the Microsoft security baseline, and it will go and enable that for you. I don't know why this is not showing me everything. There is no filter.
Just do a search for nothing.
Maybe. There we go. So these are all the settings as the baseline, right? That's
Expert level troubleshooting.
Yeah.
so we can sit here and go, well, we want to set the default configuration for VBA. I can go through and do it manually, or I can just go, let Microsoft do it because they know what they're doing. There's these and the recommended baselines. Allow trusted location. Yeah, I definitely don't want that. Especially like, and this is where you can get with access and you can put all your controls in place. So Essential 8, yay. Block macros from running in Office files from the internet. Yeah, I definitely want to block that. And that will go off and enable that for you. And then we deploy that. And now any time that user signs in on any computer with your account into Office, they're going to have that a policy applied to them. Does that sound really powerful to everyone?
Yeah. I didn't realize it was user based. I feel like I should have known that.
But we can even like block old versions of. If you're still using Excel 2, you're probably a bank. But we can block that, right? So we can start putting all these controls in and explicitly say, yeah, no, not more, not anymore. If you're signing in with our account, you're not going to get access to it. So it brings that whole BYOD conversation into a wider conversation of we're going to put more controls in there. The other thing to note is you also have the ability, go back, documents anonymously using Office in web. So this is where it's not your users explicitly. This is anybody accessing documents. And we have 9 policies for that. And you can go in and turn off co-author. You can go in and do the public live presentations and do a whole heap of controls. Allow users to include screenshots when they're talking to Microsoft. Definitely want to allow users, but this is where you can go and put that in there. How powerful is that? How many people are going to start looking at that in their environment tomorrow?
Yeah, I am.
I am. I'm glad I asked. Thank you.
No problem.
So we probably should do another full session on this one once some of those new changes start rolling into it. Because there's
For the
yes.
CCNA stuff, yes.
Sorry?
For the zero trust stuff,
Yeah.
yes. This is not zero trust. This is config.office. So one thing I am going to call out that If you haven't got this enabled in your environment today, you should be turning it on right now. It is the most important thing and so awesome. It is OneDrive Sync Health. How many people have OneDrive Sync Health enabled in their environment and have deployed the GUID? How many people know what it is? Haven't seen it before? Cool. So what this is you send it out, send out the policy, and it will go through. We've got Mark with his hand up. I'm assuming Mark's saying he's seen it before because he's seen it with Intune training, but are you wanting to say something, Mark? Take that as everything's happening. So what this allows you to do is you send this out to not just your AAD joined computers, but your existing fleet that you've got Intune set up, OneDrive set up on, and it will provide you a centralized report of where you have merge conflicts, where OneDrive known folder moves has not been enabled and configured correctly, where there's file issues, where there's sync issues, where it's not being the sync app isn't being updated correctly. So then, before you go and wipe the computer, you can go and look in this report to see if all the files are in sync.
That's cool.
Yeah. I'd say you could do it automatically, but the API is almost not there. But this is where you go and deploy that out and you'll see all of the useful information on it. And the deployment itself, very, 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 very simple. All you do is we go over here, we go to setup, we grab this key here, and then we go across to Intune. See if I can do this without actually going and looking at the docs. And we go to configuration profile. Configuration profiles. We're going to create a profile. We're going to go to Windows 10 and later. We're going to settings catalog, create. And we're going to use the correct naming standard for this tenant. And we're going to add, we're going to search for OneDrive. And under OneDrive, once it loads up, we're going to select here. And we're looking for the admin report, I believe it is. Enable sync health reporting for OneDrive. Tick that box, close that out, we can turn that on, and there should also be a second one there, but it's not there. Let's go to OneDrive again. Actually sync health. OneDrive. Okay. So what there should be is there should be another place to put GUID in there. Let's go back to ADMX because it's definitely in the ADMX one. It may be in the settings catalog somewhere else, but I know it exists here. Next. It's just got to load up all of the policies here. We're going to go to sync health. We select that. And we enable it. Oh no, it's not there. So there must be a second setting. So that has to be set, then there must be a second one there. Specify, no. It's not a tenant ID, Eddie. Looks like it might not be needed anymore. That's a novelty. Okay then. Let me just quickly check the docs. Yeah, it doesn't look like you need to do it anymore. It says to do it by a registry key, but otherwise you can just turn it on with group policy buttons, which in tune is the same. And yeah, it'll take up to 3 days. There you go. And then the other one is that it actually applies to Mac OS as well. But this one here, yeah, you don't even need to put you just have to put the flag file in the P list now. So it's actually been made a lot simpler. So yeah, it's just had it right.
Okay, so I've got an old version of that configuration profile setting. And yeah, the tenant association key is there.
Yeah.
But yeah, going to create it again, it's just the enable option.
Cool. It got made easier, which is awesome. So yeah, and then once that's in there, once you flick that trigger now, it'll start popping up within 3 days. I need to go to the boys' room. So can you take over?
Yeah. Okay, just let me. I'll just grab it from this screen.
Yep.
Okay, so where was I?
Sorry.
Yeah, so just over here, I sort of dug through the tenant to see where because I'd remembered going through and setting up that association key as well before. So you can see that I've got it here in this old one I've provisioned, which was, when was that? That was a year and a bit ago. But yeah, same as Steve, if I go to create a new one, it's, not there. So we only get the tenant. Because I think that was probably, if we went back to the last time we spoke about it, that was probably, the question that we all asked internally or externally was, why do we need to provide the key if it's something that's tied into our tenant anyway? But we saw similar things though. If you go back to the early days of, long before the Defender for Endpoint branding back in the old WD ATP days, you had to tell it what tenant to register it against. So it's just the way things evolve. So yes, there's some degree of integration, but it gets a lot better over time. But the other page that I sent through, just let me check to see if I've still got it up here, was just a few other things where they were talking about updates in some of the updates that are coming through. There's the page in at some point soon. So new improvements to the M365 apps.
Is the voice breaking? Can you guys hear me?
No,
Yeah, the voice is weer.
I can only hear you.
Okay. Maybe the audio in the room is.
Oh, yeah. Beat me to it.
Jeron, do you remember this problem last time?
Yeah.
Where I
Yeah.
was presenting as well, and I'm like, what the hell is happening?
I think they have to look for a new room.
Oh no, it's
After 1 hour of
So it's-
after 30 minutes, the teams start playing out basically.
Yeah.
so it seems to start happening after 6. Now, it happened while Steve was talking before, wasn't it?
Yeah, one.
Because we're trying to figure out what it is that's doing it, and each theory I've come up with has been destroyed.
Are you talking about versions of Defender?
No, we were just thinking about
Close.
Yeah, so with this one, so current profile is being added in. I'm not really sure. That's one that I'd sort of scratch my head going, like, apart from edge case scenarios, why would they want to support that one? Because for most people, even having the monthly enterprise conversation was a radical departure from the way they thought about things. I completely understand the semi-annual profile. Like, I don't question why they're putting that in as much as I don't agree with it. I understand why they have to stick to something that is, has got that longer feature update rollout cycle. So there's new stuff coming through. So once all this new stuff starts lighting up, we'll take another look at it. So for now, you can put yourself on the short list to get early access to those capabilities as they start rolling out. So probably if you haven't, if you are going to jump in and start looking at this, you probably want to get on board with the new capabilities as soon as possible. And just to sort of add to one of the things Stephen was saying about this is, like, where Stephen was mentioning that it's the version, you're targeting the user. You also need to remember then that means that some of the things that you're doing in Intune in terms of what so you basically start using Intune to deploy the, can I just say Office apps?
Yes.
I didn't want to say Microsoft 365 apps for enterprise.
But you said it anyway.
Yeah, so using Intune to roll them out. And so even though you can choose what channel you want in Intune, even going all the way to the XML file and pushing out the beta version, if you like, it's going to get, when you start, or at least for now, with the only option that you've got in there being monthly enterprise, regardless of what other options you've got, the user setting is going to override whatever you've already pushed out in Intune. So their version of Office is going to get converted across to monthly enterprise right now. So not the worst thing in the world, unless you weren't planning for it. And hopefully it wasn't something where it was a multi-gig download per user working from home on a slow connection when it was triggered. That's probably just some of the stuff you need to think about with it. So it's, so there ends up being, I've noticed that there ends up being like a little bit of lag from when devices start switching over until you do start seeing them sign up. So we're not talking, so in my experience, and it's been a while since I've watched it too closely, it was one of those things where it wasn't a wait a day or two or see what happens. It was wait a lot longer and see what happens. So you may be panicking about, why is only X% of the fleet moved over? But then you go and check all of those devices and find that they've already moved over to monthly enterprise. So so don't worry too much. Even just checking your own device and comparing what it says it's got installed versus what this says is installed, you might find that even there that's just been indicated that it's not working in real time. It's not working in anything close to real time, at least not yet. So I don't think there's too much stuff. But I haven't looked too closely at what the other changes were. It was really just the 2 additional channels being added in. That was probably like, the semi-annual. I get it. Current, I guess current would be a way of getting a supported version a few days or weeks before monthly enterprise of those capabilities, whereas beta wouldn't be supported. So I guess that would be the logic we could look at there, because there's no monthly enterprise preview. Trying to use logic to figure things out. Sometimes it actually works.
Yeah.
Sometimes if you think about something long enough, you can come up with a reason or an excuse as to why it's designed that way.
Sure.
Okay, anything else? And I guess for anyone who hasn't joined before, this is probably a good time for us to sort of stop the recording. So if anyone's got any questions or topics they want us to go through that you don't necessarily want being recorded, I'll just stop the recording now, just in case there are some other topics that maybe are a bit more sensitive that you want to go through. Did we just see a cat walk by somebody's desk?
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, that's the downside.